Alright, hello internet out there. Going my first, I guess, screenshot, video, screen recording video. And I wanted to share some of my long exposure stuff. I'm on my Flickr account, so I'd like to share my Flickr is Johnny Applesauce is how you can find me. Flickr.com/Johnny Applesauce. Put a link below. Really long exposures, nothing new. You've probably seen 100 videos on it, but I just wanted to share some of mine. Went to a theme park, took some long exposure shots, and I think some of them turned out beautifully. This one that we're looking at right now, I am proud to say it is unedited. I didn't do a single thing to it. But yeah, really any ride, like this is another ride, it's sort of a circular spinny around thing. We get some really cool shots. Again, I do stay at ISO of 100 all the time. Don't go anything above 100. No reason to. So I'll just go through a few of these. Again, anything where it turns around, anything where it spins. My little website I have listed on here is appleseedvideo.com, so I do have all these watermarked. One thing to mess around with when you are doing long exposure stuff is try the same object but different exposures. This one I think was like a 10-second exposure, so I really got a lot of these lines to overlap. This next shot I think was maybe a 2-second exposure, maybe a 1-second exposure. It was a lot shorter. For ride, same as the initial picture I showed you, it's a ride that has lights everywhere on the carousel where people sit, and as it goes up, I just followed sort of the trail of all those lights, and I will say it is a beautiful ride. And then next up are some cars I did at night. Really like this. This is a photo. It looks like the headlights are on, but what I did was set up for maybe a 15-second exposure, 20-second exposure, and I shined a flashlight on the two headlights here, really making that car come alive. Really making that little car come alive. And this one, at first, it just looks like another long exposure shot, but all of this part of the car, this whole bumper, everything like this, was almost just falling into just blackness. You couldn't really see any of the detail, so I, if you can tell the difference, but I did do 2 different strobe flashes on this one, so you could really start to see the car itself. So you need to really experiment. We had this big old spotlight up right out of camera view here. Got all this nice shadowing, all this nice light and shadow. But all this part of the car was just falling into just black. You couldn't see any of it. So what I did on this was, instead of using a strobe, is I set the tripod, put on I think like a 15-20 second exposure again. We'll look below in a second. But I went down the side of the car with a flashlight. And again, that's where I get this maybe romanticized idea of painting the light onto your subject. So I have this car that's just got a flat tire just hanging out here, and I'm just going down the side of it with a flashlight, slowly, surely lighting it up, going around here with the flashlight, around there with the flashlight. Again, it's like you're painting the light on. You can do some pretty cool stuff. Let's see what else. And this was an earlier long exposure shot I did. I actually filmed a wedding here before. This is an outdoor park. So this was a night shot I did. The chapel itself, that's what we'll call it, the little chapel itself, it would have just been black, just like the rest of all this around here. But I actually set it up on my tripod, and went down here with a flashlight and just started giving everything a little bit of light. It turned out pretty good, so I just went with it. And again, all it is this would have been black, but I went down there with my flashlight and just started shining it on stuff as if I'm painting it. So I hope to do a lot more stuff like that, a lot more creative things like that. Let's see if it shows us 234 seconds. So let's get out our calculator here. I guess it's about 6 minutes. I don't need a calculator. There we go. So again, that was like one of my first shots.